Hello everyone. Today we are going to start our Unit 3. The topic of this Unit 3 is Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility. So let's start. Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility. Before knowing the meaning of this, you should know what is utility theory. There are two types of utility theory. First is Law of Diminishing Marginal Utility and second is Law of Equi-marginal utility. So these two topics, that is diminishing marginal utility and equi-marginal utility, we'll be discussing in detail in the next slides. Now first of all, I'll tell you what is the meaning of this utility. Utility means any kind of satisfaction which you get by consuming some kind of goods. Utility means satisfaction. In simple words, utility means satisfaction. Whatever goods you are consuming, the satisfaction what you get by consuming that goods is called the utility. And this utility theory is of two types, that is law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equi-marginal utility. So let's discuss this in detail. Now first of all, we'll discuss about the law of diminishing marginal utility. First, let's see the meaning of it. As a consumer consumes more and more units of a specific commodity, utility from the successive units goes on diminishing. It means as the price of the commodity falls, consumer purchases more of the commodity so that his marginal utility from the commodity falls to be equal to the reduced price and vice versa. For understanding this law of diminishing marginal utility, we need to take an example first so that it will be much clearer to you what is the meaning of law of diminishing marginal utility. So let's directly go for the example. Now see here, there is a relationship between total utility and marginal utility. Now what is this total utility and marginal utility? It will help us to know the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now total utility means the sum of the utility, sum of the satisfaction which you get by consuming some kind of goods. Now in this example, it is given some numbers here: 10, 18, 24, 28, 30, 30, 28. So now these are just the numbers, that is how much satisfaction you are getting by consuming some kind of goods. This is the quantity, how much quantity you are getting to consume, and this is the total utility, total satisfaction, how much you are getting by consuming this many quantity. And marginal utility is, how we are getting the first, for consuming the first quantity, your total utility is 10, right? And marginal utility also it is 10. That's why it is known as your initial utility. Initial means first utility which you get by consuming some goods. And for calculating the other parts, other marginal utility, how you are getting is 18 minus 10, that is total utility. You go to total utility first. In the second quantity it was 18, right? So from this 18 you minus 10, you get 8. 24 next for the third quantity, 24 minus 18 you get 6. For the fourth quantity, 28 minus 24 you get 4. For the fifth quantity, 30 minus 28 you get 2. And for sixth quantity, 30 minus 30 you get 0. And for the last quantity, that is 7, 28 minus 30 you get a negative value because the total utility is 28 on the seventh quantity. Now in this position, when you see, whenever the total utility is increasing, you see here 10, then 18, then 24, then 28, then 30, then 30, then it is reducing, right? So you have to be very careful in this table while understanding the law of diminishing marginal utility, what it says. It has a relationship between what? Total utility and marginal utility. Now total utility will increase. How it is increasing? 10, 18, 24, 28, right? So in this case, you see and compare the marginal utility. Now when the first quantity was there, marginal utility was also same as the total utility, right? So it was given as initial utility. Now when you come to the second quantity, total utility is 18, but marginal utility is 8. That means here in this marginal utility, it is decreasing, right? It is decreasing to 8. From 10 to 8, it is decreasing, right? and from 8 again it is decreasing to 6. But here you can see here total utility from 10 it is going to 18, and from 18 it is increasing to 24, right? So till this case if you see here we are having a positive relation. Positive, why we are saying it is positive? Because when we are total utility is increasing, the marginal utility will go down. Marginal utility is going down, but there is no negative sign in this, right? Because your total utility is higher in the second quantity. 18 minus 10 is giving you 8. It is not giving you minus 8, right? So we are taking it as positive. As long as the total utility is increasing, the marginal utility will keep on decreasing, but it will have a positive effect. Why? Because the total utility is increasing. We are not getting minus figure in any of the marginal utility till this point, till this fifth unit, right? Till this fifth quantity, the total utility is increasing, but the marginal utility will keep on decreasing, but they will have a positive utility. Okay. Now for the sixth quantity, you see sixth quantity is how much? 30. Total utility you are getting is 30, which is same here. So when it is same here, the marginal utility is becoming 0, right? So this becomes our marginal utility becoming 0 utility. That means they are at the maximum. This is the highest number. This is the highest number in this list, right? 30. So when the total utility is at the maximum, marginal utility will become 0. This is a very important point to remember. And for the last seventh quantity, you see it is reducing from 30 to 28. It is reducing, right? Now if you minus these two values for getting marginal utility, you are getting the figure in minus 2, right? So you are getting minus 2. That's why it is a negative utility. So most important thing which you have to learn from this table is that you have to see the relationship between the total utility and the marginal utility. Now, in the initial first utility, whenever you are consuming the first product, first item, the marginal utility and the total utility is same. That's why we call it as initial utility. And when the total utility is increasing, then the marginal utility will diminish, it will decrease, but it will be in positive side because the total utility is increasing. Okay, as soon as the total utility is reaching the maximum, value, the marginal utility will become 0. And when the total utility is decreasing, the marginal utility will become negative. I'll repeat one more time. Till the time total utility is increasing, marginal utility is positive and it is diminishing, declining as the unit is increased. When the total utility is at the maximum, marginal utility is 0, and when the total utility decreases, marginal utility becomes negative. So this is just the tabular form which I have explained to you. Now you can see in this types of utility, you can see here the types of utility, what it is saying. In the types of utility, there are 3 types. What are these? Utility, total utility and marginal utility. Now what is utility? The consumption of various units of commodity, how much you consume. Utility, the main term is your consumption, how much satisfaction you are getting by consuming certain commodity or goods. The total utility is the sum total of satisfaction which a consumer receives by consuming the various utility units. This should be various units of the commodity. It should not be unity, it should be units of the commodity. That means the total sum of satisfaction, total sum of utility is known as total utility. What is marginal utility? Marginal utility can be defined as a measure of relative satisfaction gained or lost from an increase or decrease in the consumption of that goods or services. Now, marginal utility, it will be clearer to you in the next slides. Let's just discuss that. So this table I have already discussed with you. Hope it is clear to you. Next, what are the uses and applications of this law of marginal utility? The uses, firstly, is the wants of man are unlimited, but single want can be satisfied. You all know that whenever people are around anywhere, their wants are always unlimited. Everyone wants something or the other. You are never satisfied with a particular want, right? If you have a bike, let's say today, then later on you might go for wanting for a car, right? And if you have a good car, after driving 1 or 2 years, then you might be wanting to get some another car good, better than that car which you already have. So this is unlimited. People wants are unlimited, so you cannot just be limited with whatever you have, right? If you want something you have now, you want more and more of that commodity, right? Now, if you are having a good that gives you some kind of satisfaction, let's say we talk about some kind of consumable goods. Let's say you are having 1 cup of tea. Okay, you are very desiring, or you wanted to drink 1 cup of tea. So you go in a canteen, or you go in a house or a restaurant, and then drink 1 cup of tea. Now, when you are drinking the tea, as soon as you drink the tea, you feel very satisfied, right? Because you are wanting, your desire was to drink a cup of tea, right? So when you are drinking that cup of tea, first time you drank the tea, and then when you drank the tea, you feel so satisfied, right? And next time, again, on the same day, you are going to the restaurant, and then you are asking another cup of tea. Let's say 1 cup of tea you have already finished, and you got so much satisfied that your desire is fulfilled. Now next, you ordered 1 more cup of tea, and then you drank it, right? So that is also giving you some kind of satisfaction. Okay, I drank 2 cups of tea. Then next, you ordered another 3 cups of tea. Then when you ordered the 3rd cup of tea, you are drinking that tea, but that satisfaction is not there because you have already took 2 cups of tea before. Now similarly, if you keep on going, if you keep on ordering some more cup of tea, let's say 4th cup of tea you are drinking, then you might not get that much satisfaction as you have got it in the 1st cup of tea, right? So 5th, 6th, 7th, if you keep on going and if you keep on drinking that tea, at one point of time you will be overfull, and then you'll say that I cannot drink this tea anymore. So in that point of time, what happens? You are no longer wanting to have a cup of tea. You don't want to drink some more cup of tea. So what is happening is your satisfaction level is going down. Okay, this is one application of law of diminishing marginal utility. That means when you first desire something, you get satisfaction from that goods, but as soon as you keep going, keep drinking or keep consuming that particular goods, at certain point you don't have that satisfaction anymore. You just give up that product and you say that I cannot have it anymore. So this is the first law. They are saying that at a point is reached when the consumer no longer wants any more units of that good. So I have given you the example of tea. Hope it is understood. Next is, different goods are not perfect substitute for each other in satisfaction of various particular wants. Now substitute, I have told you that it is a good which can be used either of that, like tea and coffee. Now in case of law of diminishing marginal utility, there are no perfect substitute. Like you can substitute tea and coffee, right? But in this case, we cannot assume any kind of substitute goods. That means if you are preferring tea, you will go only for drinking tea. You will not prefer tea over coffee, right? you cannot substitute the goods for your satisfaction. If you like tea, that means you like tea and you want to drink tea only. You cannot just skip that, okay, if tea is not available, I'll go for coffee. It is not the case in case of law of diminishing marginal utility, and this is the second application. And the third one is there is no change in the taste of the consumer. So there is no change in the taste of consumer can link with the second point, is that the taste of the consumer is same. Like if you are preferring tea, you will go for tea only. But in the second point, it is saying that there is no substitute, there is no perfect substitute. If you are having tea, you cannot substitute it for coffee, and your taste is your unique choice of having the goods. So these are the three applications of diminishing marginal utility. First is that when you are having some goods, you are eating some goods or consuming some goods, the satisfaction which you get by taking the first unit, it is not same as that of other units which you are consuming later, and at some point the satisfaction will go down. Secondly, there is no perfect substitutes for that good, and the third one is the taste of the consumer is unique. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Now here is a very good example, as I have already given you an example of tea. Now here one example is given about water. Now you see here, suppose a person is thirsty and the price of water is 0. Now the price, you are very thirsty and you want water, and the price of water is 0, so you want to take the water. He takes 1 glass of water, which gives him great satisfaction because you are thirsty. If you are thirsty, you need a glass of water, right? So when you take the first glass of water, you are very much satisfied, right? So we can say that the first glass of water has great utility for him. Why it is great utility for him? Because you were thirsty and you got the glass of water, and when you drank it, you were satisfied. Okay, this is the first line. Next, he then takes second glass of water. Now the person is taking another glass of water. The utility of the second glass of water is less than that of the first glass of water. Why it is less? Because one time when you were thirsty, first glass of water is giving you so much satisfaction which is uncomparable with the second glass of water. So here we can say that the utility is declining. It is not as same as that of the first glass of water, because the edge of his thirst has been blunted to a great extent, because when the person have taken the first glass of water, his thirst was going down, right? So when he took the second glass of water, it is not giving him that much satisfaction as he was getting from the first glass of water. Now again, he drinks third glass of water. Now the third glass of water he is drinking, the utility of the third glass will be less than that of the second, and so on. Now when you are drinking the third glass, it is the satisfaction which he is getting, it will be less than the second glass, right? So the utility goes on diminishing. Diminishing means it is going down, down, down with the consumption every successive glass of water. So whenever you are drinking more and more glasses of water, the utility, the satisfaction is going down, right? Your utility is going down with the successive glass of water. Successive means as long as you add the glasses of water, your utility, your satisfaction is going down till it drops down to 0. Till it drops down to 0. That means you cannot consume it anymore. It is the position of consumer equilibrium or maximum satisfaction. So this is the maximum satisfaction when the marginal utility becomes 0. Now, if the consumer is forced further to take a glass of water, now the person have taken third glass, fourth glass, fifth glass of water. Okay, till it becomes 0, his satisfaction level is 0. Now after this, he cannot drink it anymore, but someone is forcing him to take another glass of water. What will happen? it will become a negative effect for him, that he cannot take it anymore and he will just throw it down, or he will not take it anymore. So this is becoming negative. He cannot take any more glass of water. So this is what the marginal utility will become negative, and the total utility will decline. Total utility will go down. A rational consumer will stop taking water at the point at which marginal utility becomes negative, even if the good is free. Even if the water was free, right? The price of the water was free. So, even if it is free, once he is satisfied, once he is fully satisfied, later on the person cannot drink it, cannot drink the water anymore, then what will happen? It will become negative. Even if the good you are giving it for free to eat, still then the person will not take it because he is full. In short, when a good is free, a consumer increases consumption of a good, so long its additional units provide him positive marginal utility, till the time the marginal utility is giving him maximum satisfaction. Till that time, that is, marginal utility should be positive. Till it is positive, then the consumer is satisfied. You can say that the consumer is satisfied till the marginal utility is positive. Once he is getting, once the marginal utility is 0, that means he is fully satisfied. And then when it crosses 0, that is, crosses 0 means when it becomes negative, that means his satisfaction is going down. He cannot consume it anymore, even if the good is given free of cost. Okay, so this is the example which I have given. You can go through this, read 1 to 3 times, and then you will understand it. Now let's go to this law of marginal utility curve. Now before that, one table I think I have given here. So here it is showing, this table I have already explained. Now this unit, see the example which I have given you, the explanation is given in this table. From this table onwards you can understand this. Now how many glasses of water he is drinking? He is drinking 6 glasses of water. We are assuming it 6 glasses of water. Now what was the total utility he was getting and what is the marginal utility he is getting? This is the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. Now see, first glass when he drank, he got 20 utility. Total utility was 20. That means fully satisfied. Okay. Now marginal utility will also be same. This is called initial outlay. Okay. Now second glass of water he drank. When he drank the second glass of water, his total utility was 32. Right. So when it is 32, marginal utility is what? Marginal utility is going down. How you got this 12? That is 32 minus 20 is 12. So now third glass, his satisfaction level is 40, but marginal utility is 8. How you got 8? 40 minus 32 is 8. So whenever the total utility is increasing, as I have already told you in the previous slide also, when the total utility is increasing, the marginal utility will go down, but it will be positive. Here we will not have any minus signs, negative signs will not be there. So when the negative sign is not there, that means it is positive. Why it is positive? Because the total utility is increasing. Now till the fourth glass it is increasing, right? Till the fourth glass, in the first, second, third, fourth, you can see it is increasing, right? So as it is increasing, marginal utility is decreasing. Marginal utility is decreasing. Why it is marginal utility is decreasing? Because it cannot give the same satisfaction as the first glass of water. Now you see, in the fifth glass of water the total utility is 42 and the marginal utility is becoming 0. That means from this fifth glass till this fifth glass he is fully satisfied. He will not want to drink any more water after the 5th glass of water. Okay, but after this 5th glass of water, if he drink another glass of water, the total utility is becoming 39. That means it is decreasing. So as soon as the total utility is decreasing, the marginal utility will become negative. Now when it is becoming negative, that means the person cannot drink the 6th glass of water anymore, because he is not anymore satisfied with that. So I hope you have understood it. This is very important for you to understand the relationship between the total utility and marginal utility. Now this is the tabular form I have shown you here, and next let's see in the diagram how it looks. Now same way, in the first glass of water, when he took this first glass of water, this is the consumption. Okay, here in the x-axis it is the quantity consumed, and in the y-axis it is marginal utility. Now how the graph is showing to you, from the table only you can understand. Now from in the table we have said that one glass of water is giving how much satisfaction? 20. Total utility is 20. That means the marginal utility and total utility was same, right? But this is the graph of marginal utility curve only. I have not given the curve of total utility. There is only the marginal utility curve. Now marginal utility curve, what was the first? In the first glass of water it is 20, right? So in the second glass of water, when he took the second glass of water, what was the marginal utility? 12. When the third glass of water, his marginal utility was 8, and on the fourth glass of water his satisfaction was somewhere between these value. And when it is fifth glass, when it was the fifth glass of water, it is becoming 0. That's why this curve, this line is touching this 0 in the fifth glass, right? So this is 0 marginal utility. And when he took the sixth glass of water, what happened? It went down. The curve is going down. That means this is 0. Below this 0 it is negative, right? So it is going negative. So from this diagram you can see here, first is when it was the maximum, it was 20. It is the initial outlay. When it is going down, it is known as diminishing marginal utility curve. When it becomes 0, it is known as 0 marginal utility. And when it goes down below 0, it becomes negative. So this is the diagram of marginal utility curve given from the table. Now let's see what is law of equi-marginal utility. Law of marginal utility, diminishing marginal utility we have already discussed. Now let's discuss about the law of equi-marginal utility. Now first you see what is the meaning of this. This law is based on the principle of obtaining maximum satisfaction from a limited income. Now in this equi-marginal utility, main thing is utility is still there, right? Utility means the satisfaction, but here in equi-marginal we are considering the income, the limited income of the person. In law of diminishing marginal utility, there was saying that the price of the goods is decreasing. When the price of the goods is decreasing, the consumer want to consume more of the goods, right? But in case of law of equi-marginal utility, we see how much satisfaction he get by consuming some goods with his limited income. That is the only difference between these two laws. In equi-marginal utility, it is getting the maximum satisfaction by consuming some goods with his limited income, and in law of diminishing marginal utility we see that how much satisfaction the consumer is getting when the price of the goods is falling. Okay, now it explains the behavior of a consumer when he consumes more than one commodity, how it is linking how much satisfaction they are getting by consuming more and more of that good with his limited income. Limited income, you have a particular amount in your hand and you have to spend that money, you have limited money to consume some goods. In that case, how you are going to get the maximum satisfaction is the law of equi-marginal utility. Now again here is saying the law states that the consumer should spend his limited income on different commodities in such a way that the last rupee spent on each commodity yield him equal marginal utility in order to get the maximum satisfaction. So same thing it is saying that you have a limited income in your hand and you have to spend that income in such a way that you get the maximum satisfaction by purchasing and consuming that goods. Okay, so now here it is the formula, it is given here. Assumption of this law is there is no change in the price of the goods and services. Now price of the goods is same. You have a limited income, let's say you are having 10 rupees to buy some goods, and how you are spending that money to get the maximum satisfaction. Now if your desire is to buy a chocolate and then you're having 10 rupees, so you will buy that chocolate which is giving you the most satisfaction, right? So this is what they are saying, that price of the goods, there is no change in the price of goods or services. Suppose one dairy milk chocolate of 10 rupees is there is no change in the price of that goods, but if you have 10 rupees, will you buy that dairy milk chocolate because it is giving you the maximum satisfaction? It depends on you. So this is what it is saying, that you have income. If you have 10 rupees, will you buy that chocolate for you which is giving you the most satisfaction? The consumer has a fixed income. Now here again it is saying the consumer has a fixed income. You have a fixed income and you have to spend that money in such a way that gives you the maximum satisfaction. The marginal utility of money is constant. Why the marginal utility of money is constant? Because you have a fixed income, you have a limited money, that's why the marginal utility is constant. A consumer has perfect knowledge of utility. Now whenever you are taking some goods, using or consuming some goods, it all depends on what you prefer, right? You have to have the knowledge of that, which gives you the most satisfaction. Like some people, they like to smoke, right? And the person who does not smoke, will he buy the cigarette? No. But the person who is liking to smoke, they will buy the cigarettes, right? So that is giving them utility. But for those people who are not smoking, they will never buy the cigarette because they know that it is not giving them any kind of satisfaction, right? So here it is saying a consumer has perfect knowledge of utility. You know what is giving you the satisfaction, which goods are giving you the satisfaction. So you have the knowledge about that satisfaction. Now next is consumer tries to have maximum satisfaction. Consumer tries to have maximum satisfaction means whenever you are having that goods, what you like the most, you need to have a maximum satisfaction. That means when you are satisfied, it have to be fully done. You are not saying that I am half satisfied or not satisfied. The consumer always try to be maximum or fully satisfied. Next is the utility is measurable in cardinal terms. Now what is this cardinal terms? Cardinal terms is when you say some terms like first, second, third, fourth. Okay, so that is known as cardinal terms. First, second, third, fourth onwards. Now if you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That is known as ordinal term. When we measure the utility, it is always in cardinal form. Cardinal form is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, not 1, 2, 3, 4. There are substitutes for the goods. Now in this case, in this law of equi-marginal utility, there are substitutes of goods. Now what are substitutes of goods? You can use one good in place of other like tea or coffee. But in case of law of diminishing marginal utility, there are no substitutes. A consumer has many wants. So this is very clear that consumer has many wants. The consumer's wants are never ending. They are unlimited. So these are all the assumption of the law. Which law? It is the law of Equi marginal utility. Hope this lecture is clear. Thank you.